community STEM hub and Grant Wood AEA. My name is Corey Rogers. I'm a digital learning consultant. I'm here with my colleague, Bridget Castelluccio. We are thrilled to welcome some Iowa computer science heroes to share their work and to give our students a sense of what computer science careers look like in our state. So I'm going to hand it over to Kelly Recker from TCS to do introductions and to keep us going this morning. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Corey. We are so excited to be here with you. So my name's Kelly Recker, and I'm the program lead for one of our STEM education programs called Ignite My Future in School, where we train teachers and work with students to increase their knowledge of computational thinking and how they can make that come alive in their classrooms. I work for TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, which is the second largest IT company in the world, which is kind of crazy because most people haven't heard of us. And I would say that's probably because we're business to business. So we're more behind the scenes. We offer digital solutions to our customers. We don't sell the hardware like printers or iPads, but we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And sure, you've used some of our programs and our products. You just don't even know it. We work with banking institutions, insurance companies. We've even created a video game for the TCS New York City Marathon, and we use STEM and computer science to help create solutions and solve problems for our customers. One of my favorite things that we've done before is we've designed a drone that helps protect endangered species. The rhinos to use heat detection and cameras to detect poachers to stop the poaching for endangered rhinos. So I am not the computer science hero for you today. I've brought some of my colleagues along from TCS who are computer science heroes, and they're going to share a little bit about what they do and how they use computer science to create solutions for our customers. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our friends from TCS. We can start with, I'm just going to kind of go in the order that I can see you on my screen, with Kelly. And Kelly, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us, a little bit about your role at TCS.
Sure. My name is Kelly Martin. I'm on the ops compliance team as an operations compliance analyst. So really I work with audits and legal requests. It's kind of what I do. Sorry, what else did you want me to go into here? Oh, I think you're still on mute.
That's true. Thank you. And so you said that you work to show. Sorry, send a request for information documents to show how we're processing our work correctly, and then you take all that information and pull it together for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And then Abby, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Abby Reilly-Hames. I am a supervisor in an operations group. I support a team of 14 people today. Sometimes it shifts a little bit. And my team answers customer requests when they want to know information about their life insurance, health insurance, or annuity contracts. And how that ties back to technology, I promise I'll get there, is that we are constantly being asked to do more with less in the business world. And to do that, especially from an operations perspective, that means figuring out what automations, what robotics, what type of solutions can we come up with to help the business, either get the team members to get through their work faster or easier, or also, improving the customer experience.
Great, thank you. I heard some robotics in there. That always perks up everyone's ears, right? And then Kim, would you like to share what your role is with TCS?
Right. So I'm Kim Eskelson. I am a business analyst for one of the operations areas. And so I like to describe what I do as just solving a lot of puzzles. So I do data trending and research, and like Abby said, I actually work with Abby's group. Is we take a look at how we can work smarter, not harder. How can we reduce the time that it takes us to do some work? What can we do to improve it? So I just use the data that we have and see what I can do to make our jobs easier.
Yes, working smarter, not harder was something I always, when I was teaching, would tell my students. We need to work smarter, not harder. So I love that. And then Kevin, can you share what your role is, please?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, my name is Kevin Reiling, and I'm a business analyst. Currently what we're working on is a lot of the migration from legacy systems to a new admin system, and also a system to for like reps who are in our call center, that take calls to customers so that they can more efficiently work. A lot of the things that we do is we provide the requirements to our programmers, and we work with them. We do a lot of the testing, and a lot of what we do requires a lot of critical thinking. You have to look at the downstream impacts. So there's a lot of important things that we have to consider. And when we're testing, there's a lot of, back and forth that we'll work with, with the programmers and a lot of the development. So, you're constantly, working with them to improve it. So I think the most important thing is the critical thinking. There's just a lot of back and forth that is involved with it.
Thank you. And so, Kevin, when you were saying you work with call centers, so I'm going to go out there and try to see if I can make this make sense in my head. So somebody would call in to the call center, and then you're working on helping, like, on the back end, that, like, if somebody's going to answer that call, how they can answer those questions, right? Like, so it's not. They don't just answer the questions off the top of their head, which I thought was something I found interesting with call centers. They don't just have the answer. You guys have a program?
Yes. So it's a CRM, or customer relationship management system. And, there's a lot of tools that are used within that. So, we may get requests over the phone, and, so they have to submit the work. Or maybe they need a quote. So, there's tools built within that program. And then we're working on, built-in self-help. So to help answer the questions regarding different fields within the program. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Great. Thank you. And so I'm going to ask you, we can start with you and kind of work our way backwards. But what inspires you to take on the role that you're in, or pursue the degree that you needed for this position? Kevin, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry, that question. So
Yeah.
as far as like, the role that I'm currently in, it wasn't something that I necessarily, went to school for. I actually have a degree in marketing, so sometimes, you just kind of work your way into different careers based on what you try to do. One thing that I actually learned to do is, do some programming within Excel, like, the Visual Basic. programming. So I actually, created a program within Excel, and, so that, kind of led to other opportunities. So I think you just gotta, whatever you go to school for, I think the most important thing is, continuing to learn, seeing how you can find different solutions for different problems. And, so I said it before, the critical thinking and finding solutions are probably the most important skills that you can learn, regardless of what degree you try to go for.
I agree. You're going to need those no matter what. Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
Right. So I would say I'm probably in the same boat as Kevin. I went to school. My degree is in business administration in finance. And I just found myself in the role similar to how Kevin did. I'm an Excel geek, and this role has just allowed me to kind of find my own footing. Everything, it's different every day. And so I get the flexibility to continue my knowledge and to, just to find different methods that, kind of speak to our, working smarter, not harder, what sorts of automations or code can we come up with to make those things happen.
Thank you. And then either Abby or Kelly?
So I did not, as Kevin and Kim mentioned, dream of growing up to be an operations supervisor. But I actually had a really hard time deciding what I wanted to do. I started at Cornell just outside of Cedar Rapids in Mount Vernon as a vocal performance major. So yeah, I was once a classically trained singer. And then, I was taking a lot of part-time jobs to just, kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And I started thinking about what are the parts of those jobs that I really liked. It took a lot of self-reflection and, just kind of stepping out of myself in the day-to-day to think, okay, what about the coffee house job did I like? And what about Blockbuster? Yes, Blockbuster did I like? And I found that, along with being, in line with being a very type A person, so I'm competitive, I'm ambitious, I'm kind of neurotic, I'm organized, I really like helping people. And so I joined the organization as a contact center representative, taking those inbound calls, which is really difficult because you have to have an answer like then, not 5 minutes from now, not tomorrow, but anyway. And I realized really quickly once I joined the contact center that this was a place that I wanted to grow in, and I wanted to be part of making change on a larger level, but still being able to help people. And so that's why I went into leadership. I think the technology interest totally surprised me. But the opportunities to help people are not just by answering their questions for them, it's finding ways to make their lives easier. So that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I hope I answered the question.
Thank you, Kelly. Yep, you can go ahead, Kelly. Yep.
There we go. I had issues getting unmuted. So kind of on the same page as everyone else, I actually got my degree and went to college for elementary education. And then I was a substitute teacher for a year or two, and then worked as a preschool teacher through a daycare for 5 or 6 years. And then I needed a change. I needed something different. I needed a challenge. So I actually got a job and started in our call center and was a call center rep and kind of moved positions a few times. And actually I just got in this role that I'm in currently in April. So my previous role I was in for 7 years. And then again, I needed a new challenge, and this actually really suits my personality. I'm very organized. I like things a certain way. So I can be kind of OCD, which really helps when you're gathering a lot of files, to turn over to a state for an audit. So this role I'm in now really suits me personality wise, and how I work and how I think. And so kind of fell into it a little bit, but did not go to school for this. So
I love it though. I love that all of your stories are, they're different, but they've all landed you sort of in the same place, and that you've had some interesting journeys getting there. So my next question for you is, how is your career connected to computer science? Because we're super excited. It's Computer Science Week. We're celebrating contributions from teachers and partners and students. And so how is your career connected to computer science? And anyone can go ahead and take that.
I'll go, and I'm going to address a question that one of our participants had as well, which was, how do you start finding those areas for working smarter, not harder? So I've been over a couple different teams, and one of the first things that I do is do job shadows with them. So I literally watch them work. More often than not now, actually all the time now, it's, via like a Teams meeting or a Zoom style meeting. So I'm literally watching their screen and talking to them as they work, and I ask them questions, and that's twofold, because then I can learn more about them, but then also learn about what they do. And through those job shadows, it becomes apparent very clearly, very quickly how, like, what things are frustrating to the employees, what things do I see with my fresh eyes are not making sense. Like, why are we doing it this way? And then, think about possible risks to the organization, and pick up some monkeys right away to start working on and figuring out how we can make their lives easier and improve the customer experience. Oh gosh, I have an example. I remember I have an example of that. Okay, just one sec. Oh, okay. So the current team that I'm on, when I joined the group, they answer emails, right? And they were super behind on their work, like weeks to like maybe a month and a half or so, which is no good. And, no matter how much overtime we ask our staff to do, that it's demoralizing to have that much overtime, and it's not a great customer experience. So I began working with our automation team on using a robot to send out automated responses for us based on our most commonly seen and simplest, response templates that we would use. So, for example, we couldn't locate your policy based on the information that you sent us. We need these pieces of information in order to find it. Or here is your recent payment, towards your policy. Here's the next payment that's due. And it formulates the template response. It also pulls information from the system, the administrative system that houses the policies. So then we don't have to go and look up every single value, every single date on their behalf. And that has slimmed down our need to manually touch several emails. So it's an example for you.
That's really cool. And I guess when you say robot, I'm like picturing like R2D2 or C3PO, but it's not that kind of robot, right? It's like a robot, like a program that you can use. That's awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify, because every time someone says robot, that's what I'm like picturing, that kind of robot. But I
was a little disappointed when I found out there wasn't an actual R2D2 as well, because that's what I was thinking. We can be disappointed together.
That's the next job. That's our next thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I, just want to touch base on that, because, I think what the main goal is to make people more efficient. So it's not necessarily like taken away from, jobs or anything like that. It's just, trying to make what you do more productive, so the workforce can do more, because that's the end goal, right? You want to make people more effective, more productive, so you can get done, so you can handle, like, whether it be, let's say, for example, the call center reps, if they can more efficiently go through and get the information that they need, maybe they can get onto that next call, handle more callers, for example, respond to inquiries quicker, so, or, maybe it was something before that took research and you had to, call somebody back on it. Maybe now we can give them the ability to complete those tasks right then and there. So, I think, making, whether it be, the processing areas or the call center more effective and efficient, and working, like, for me, your original question was, well, how does this relate back to computer science? And I think having the ability to understand some of the different capabilities that are out there, putting together different things, like the built-in help, having that all right there. There's a lot of different, we're right now kind of backlogged on a lot of the things that we want to accomplish. So it's going to take a while, but it's just like a step-by-step thing. And, and it comes down to the testing and, once we get the stuff deployed, getting the feedback from the end users. So, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of data collection in there, which I think is really good. A lot of data, I think most of your roles have analysts in them, so definitely a lot of analyzing is happening. And those are all things that, we do as, students and teachers and in everyday life, but definitely in computer science roles, those things are really needed. Thank you. And Kim, sorry, I saw you, were you ready to share?
So I was just gonna kind of add on to what Abby mentioned. So when we're looking for, how to work smarter, not harder, we're using those data collections, right? So we're taking a look at how much time it takes for someone typically to do the request on average. And then we're taking a look at the folks that are doing it much quicker, and then the folks that are taking a little more time, and pulling the best practices from those folks that are doing it much quicker. Like Abby mentioned, shadowing what they're doing, just taking a look at the process overall, looking to see if there's automation opportunity, and then applying any of those best practices and getting automations in place.
Thank you. And so for automation, that would be where the robot would go and just answer that question or look up that information for them automatically, instead of them having to manually go through and do that.
So yeah, we have a few different methods that we use. The automation is by far the best. Once it can do anything for you, absolutely, it's the best way we can do it. But we do have other ways that we've been able to, utilize folks that maybe aren't quite as busy. Our folks that build those automations are swamped. There is always a need for a new automation, and that's the go-to. We want to automate it. So we also do, we'll do macros. Maybe we have some functions where they need to review a large amount of data and send out just a portion of that to the customer. So we'll build a macro that'll allow them to just maybe hit a button, and it'll format everything for them, summarize it, and put it into this beautiful picture that they can send out to the customer, rather than, manually manipulating that data themselves.
Thank you. And Kelly, did you want to have anything you wanted to add to that?
I do a lot more quote unquote manual manipulation, compiling all these different files from different systems into like one PDF to hand over. So I work a lot with that, or with Excel, and keeping everything organized and all of that for all of these audits. So I do less of the macro and more of the manual right now, but.
Great, thank you. And I think we have another panelist on with us. Heather is here. And so Heather, if you would like to, I think Corey can make you, yep, there we go. Heather, if you would like to share, sort of quickly, like what your role is and then how it connects to computer science. We're so glad you were able to join us. Apologies for the technical difficulties. And you are on mute, just in case you were trying to talk. We can come back, and Heather, if you can unmute then later, like let us know, and we will. We would love to hear from you. Sorry, I keep muting myself. And so, can you tell us, each of you, what's your favorite thing about your job?
Oh, I'll go first on this one. So my favorite thing is I love a challenge, and the role that I'm in allows me to kind of go in the direction of my interests. So utilizing, the projects that we have at hand or the things that we need to accomplish. And, maybe it's that I'm able to pick up a new skill and add to, my toolkit for the next time that it's necessary. For example, right now, I've been able to identify, we have a gap in knowledge of folks that can use Microsoft Access. And so that's always been something that I've been interested in. So right now I'm taking it upon myself to try and teach myself Microsoft Access. And my role is awesome because it gives me that opportunity to apply it to a real life scenario immediately. I have that project that's available to use it and to just be able to increase my knowledge and become more helpful as I go along.
Wait, so Kim, you're saying you're not getting a grade for it, but you're still trying to learn new things and apply it to your job.
I am trying to make my job easier by learning it. Yes.
I love that. And I think that's one thing I know, in school, like that's what we're concerned about, like what's our grade going to be? But I think when you get into the real world, like you're eager to learn more because it makes your job easier. It helps you able to work with your colleagues better. So yeah, I love that. Thank you.
I didn't realize how easily accessible technology was until I started working with this company. And I'm gonna kind of throw Kevin under the bus a little bit, but he mentioned that designed this program, and I'm assuming he's talking about a forms automation that he designed with Excel, which the contact center has been using for years. My group uses it when we can, and it's literally like pulling together all of this documentation that these people need for their annuity contracts, and partially even filling it out for them where we can, like with, you need to sign here, 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 initial there, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas, previous to that, people would have to spend several minutes, if not like an hour or so, pulling all that together. And that's just with Microsoft Excel, which is, I learned how to do, in the cell equals, parentheses, and, just very basic functions. From that most basic program to the robotics or automations that we were talking about, using Access to generate documents or reports. Oh my gosh, I didn't know because, well, it's been a while since we did computer stuff in school. So, technology has evolved quite a bit since then. And working my part-time jobs before this, I had no clue. And it's just been amazing watching a robot scan a document to say, oh, you want to update your beneficiary to Joe Smith. We can do that for you. And then execute the command. It's amazing.
That's crazy. That's crazy that we have the technology that can do that. And I like how when Kevin had said how it's not taking jobs from people. It sounds, like there's more jobs being created because in computer science, because once we have that, technology to do those things, then we need somebody to write those programs or to make those things work, and then go back and check on the other end with customers and people that are working in the call centers to see if it's working the way we want it to work. And if not, then we have to go back and make some changes. So I love that. Thank you. Anyone else want to share their favorite thing?
Yeah, I think one of the best things is, building something that, is going to impact a lot of users and, seeing them be more effective and then, taking their feedback and then seeing where you can improve more. And, seeing stuff develop, I think is pretty exciting. And, knowing that you're a part of that, I think it's a pretty good deal. And going back to the education thing, if I had to do it over again, I would, pick something more related to computer science going to college, because I don't think, when you're like 17, 18, 19 years old and you're going to college, you really understand what you want to do. And look at what like a lot of us all went to college for. It wasn't really computer science related, but yet we're related into that field. So, if I had to do it over again, it would be that I would choose something different in college. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's, actually, Kevin, I feel like you were using one of your robots to scan, my notes and what I was, writing down thinking. And that was one thing I was going to ask is if you, look back on school, and so Kevin just answered this, but is there one thing that you wish you would have done differently, or maybe a subject you would have paid more attention to in school? I know mine was definitely my computer class that taught Excel for sure.
Yeah, Excel is fantastic. I started, getting into doing the automations within Excel using the VBA programming within that. Once I realized how easy it was, I mean, it just kept on going and going and going, so I just wanted to like absorb more, just knowing that I could have more controls, and have it do more and more things. It's just something I really enjoyed doing. And I'm still learning stuff matter of fact, just this week, I've learned something new that I'm like, I wish it could do this, do a little bit of research. Oh yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, changes everything. So I love, finding new things that are going to make things a lot easier when it comes to programs. Because I think there's just like an endless amount of things that you can learn.
And I feel like when I was going through school, it was like the big focus was on like typing classes. Computers were just starting to become in every household item. So like the big push was, typing classes and how do you type on a computer and doing a lot of things like that. But, I really wish, at least in college, I would have focused more on, learning to do Excel type documents and a little bit more with that instead of just sticking with, a basic typing class. That's definitely an advantage I feel like my kids will at least have is, they're getting more experience and more technology classes where they're doing more than just learning how to type on a computer or an iPad. they're getting to manipulate things and doing drawing apps and, all of these different things to where, their minds are just working so differently from what mine would. So yeah, that would definitely have been one thing that I would have changed.
I think I would have been more curious. I was so convinced for a very long time that music was my path. And I still get to do that in my free time. That's not something I had to give up. But I'm really feeling fulfilled and challenged by taking on this new adventure of using technology to get work done, no matter what the industry is, right? And if I had been more open to taking, other classes outside of what I thought I wanted to do, then maybe I would have gotten there sooner. Or maybe I would have gone off in a completely different direction. Just being open to opportunity and learning more about all the things is something I wish I would have taken advantage of when I was younger.
Thank you. Thank you. And I see Heather's back. So Heather, if you're able to unmute, we would love to hear from you, your role, how it relates to computer science. Or maybe we need a robot right now. That's what we need.
Heather's mute is stuck, so she can hear everything. Okay. She can unfortunately cannot unmute. So.
Oh, okay. I'm so sad about that. All right. Well, Heather, we appreciate you being here with us today. And so I have a question. So you talk a lot about using spreadsheets and Access, which is, I didn't know what Access was, database tool in your work. Are there any specific computer science languages that you or others in your company use? And that could be for anyone, if anybody.
So this is an interesting group of people because I think Kevin's more on the technical side of things. But at least I know for Kim and I, because we work pretty closely together, that we're more about, we don't do the coding type stuff or programming. We're more involved with the finding opportunities to use the technology and what possible solutions we could apply to this, the given problem. So I'm sorry, I'm not able to speak to that part of it, at least.
Okay, I threw the question out there. Here's why. Mm-hmm. I often get asked, what is the language I need to use? And what I find really refreshing is to hear you all talking about using spreadsheets and Access. And so I guess the better question for me to ask would be, it doesn't matter the language, or are there other things that students could be focused on so that they could be productive?
My knee-jerk reaction is to focus on what you want the solution to look like, not maybe necessarily how you get there.
Got it. If Kevin would be willing to speak to it, that would be awesome to hear as well.
We might have lost Kevin for a second.
Or he doesn't like the question. That's okay too.
I hit the wrong mute button.
Oh, okay.
I was talking and nobody, apparently you guys didn't hear me, so I apologize. No, I was just saying, let me just start over. So personally for myself, I've only done coding with the Visual Basic within Excel. So I haven't, personally done any of the, coding for the admin systems that are being used. Now there are things, so for instance, for example, the CRM that we're building, it doesn't have its own code for a lot of the fields. So what happens is a lot of the information is actually obtained through API calls. So, you know, APIs are basically where it's, you know, getting information. So APIs will either get or post information. So a post would be like if we need to send information back to the admin system. So maybe we're going to create work within the CRM, then that's where it's going to post the API, you know, back to the admin system. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that we're also working on a new IVR, which is an acronym for Interactive Voice Response System. And so basically that's where customers or agents call in and, you know, they're going to get some information, or maybe they're going to authenticate before they get to the representative. And so then there's API calls that go to the phone system. So there's that stuff. But yeah, that's about as involved. That's about what I can share on that front.
Thank you. And so that, and the interactive voice response, that's like when you call in and they ask you to say like yes or no, or date of birth or last name kind of thing. I know I have to use that all the time.
Yeah, and then it's going to give you maybe your account value, or you know, say, hey, you know, like one thing that we did was, you know, like provide information. Maybe they're calling because they sent in some work. Maybe they sent in a withdrawal request, and then the phone system's going to, like, before they even get to a rep, it's going to say, hey, I see that you got a new request. Would you like more information on it? So that way, it frees up reps to the more complicated questions and helps with some of the more simpler questions. So that way, you know, instead of like waiting on the phone to get to a rep for 30 minutes, maybe it's only 10 minutes because more simple questions are being answered by the phone system.
That's great. Thank you. And I have another question because I think it relates so much to computer science, but I don't think a lot of people to think about it this way, but you know, teamwork. I think you all have talked about like a team or working with other people and collaboration, and how has that helped you? Like what kind of has those skills helped you, you know, work on your team and in your computer science roles?
Okay, so I do want to answer that one really quick. Personally, for me, and what I've seen, what I've discovered is that it absolutely takes a team. You know, you're going to have different people within the team that have different perspectives. You know, some people might be, you know, really detail oriented, and that's great. And then, you know, like me, I'm not as detail oriented, but I think of it more of on a big picture front. So, and it takes everybody in order to get everything right.
Yeah, following that, I think, you know, just as Kevin was saying, it takes a team. A lot of times we realize, you know, the data doesn't paint the full picture. You know, sometimes we can have the best of plan based on that data. And then when we start to talk to the team and we start to maybe learn some things that aren't shown in the data or aren't represented, we adjust our plan because we need all those perspectives to make sure that, you know, however we go forward is really going to benefit the group.
Well, and I know on like my team, we will have meetings, and, you know, part of our team meetings, not every team meeting, but part of our team meetings will be dedicated to, you know, kind of like a technology minute, per se. Like, did you know that you could use, you know, OneNote to do this, to take your meeting notes for all these, meetings and everything that you've got. You can, automatically kind of upload, those minutes into OneNote and send it out to the entire group. So everyone, doesn't have to take their own notes. You can have one document and then you just share it after the meeting with everyone. Or, just different things, everyone's kind of got their own strengths. And then, in our meetings and talking, it's, we can learn so much as far as, okay, this is how I organize my meetings and my notes. This would probably help other people, and then just share it. So it really does take a team to learn, best practices and tips and tricks for different things. So I find that helpful anyways.
Speaking of, communication with the team, I think that being part of a well-functioning team has helped me become more empathetic to others' perspectives, as well as, helping others find their strengths too. So it's been, and not all teams are like as well oiled as others. But there's something to learn there as well, right? So, if something kind of goes like falls off the rails, you take a minute or 15 and step back and just try to figure out where did we go wrong? Like where did this veer off course? And you'll be able to apply that to a future situation, guaranteed.
So finding patterns like in something, issues that went wrong and how you can use the solutions that worked for the past problem in a future one. That's great. Thank you. And I know we're almost at time. So if we want to do a quick whip share of just one piece of advice you have for students who would want to look into a career in computer science.
I would say just to be open-minded and soak in every bit of knowledge that you can, because you never know when you're going to need that in the future. Every once in a while something comes up and you're like, oh, I remember this from, it could be years and years ago. And, it's just helpful to have that wide range of knowledge.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Just if you've got an opportunity to try something new or do something new, do it, because you never know, it could spark an interest in something. My interest was growing up and into college was always being a teacher. That was my number one thing. And then I needed a new challenge and just kind of fell into being a customer service rep, not knowing anything about annuities, and that's kind of been my life the last 11 years and I love it. So just try different things.
I'd say always ask for the moon with glitter, meaning, ask for whatever you want. The worst they're going to say is no. And you might be really surprised at how much they're willing to give, they being whoever.
Yeah, and what I would say is, try to always be thinking about how you would come to that solution. Maybe you can be part of the, solving the problem. So just, be a good, critical thinker. Try to think about how you would solve the problem, and, just look at things from different angles. And see if you can solve that puzzle. We're always needing new ideas.
Thank you all. And I don't know if there's any questions from our audience. None right now. No. Well, I just want to say thank you to Grant Wood for having us, and to our panelists. We just really appreciate you sharing your time with us today, and your careers, your journey, and just the cool things that you do that I think can relate to so many different, hobbies and interests. And I love just to hear your journeys and how you got to where you are today. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, everybody. We're super appreciative of the team and our computer science heroes. We will be sharing this recording out with schools. And so if the panelists are willing, what we might do is invite teachers and students to send some questions on to us that we could share with the panelists to follow up with you afterwards. But we want to thank you one more time. We want to celebrate one more time that it is Computer Science Education Week, and the theme this year is Computer Science is Everywhere, and that is evident from the conversation today. So thank you all so much, and we wish you all a safe and happy holiday season. And we just want to thank the panelists one more time for their energy and their time today. We're really appreciative.